So why does this Irish mountain have a wall across it that's 22 miles long? And how does it still play a role in thousands of people's lives every day? Let's find out, shall we? The Mourne Mountains in County Down, Northern Ireland are home to some of the highest peaks in the country, also offering some stunning views of the Irish Sea and nearby coastal towns. You can come down for a casual stroll, or you can challenge yourself by summiting one of the peaks, which is what I'm going to be doing today. Some of the highest peaks in the Mournes are Slieve Burna, Slieve Binion, Slieve Comida and of course Slieve Donard, the highest mountain in the country. One thing you'll notice is that they all share the name Slieve at the start, which is actually an anglicisation of the Irish word Slieve, meaning mountain. So the mountain names are technically Irish phrases. For example, Slieve Donard translates to Mountain of St Donard, or Slieve Binion translates to Mountain of the Peaks. Even the word Mourne itself originates from the Gaelic territory known as Morna. It's said that the author C.S. Lewis took inspiration from the Mournes to create his world of Narnia. Yep, that's right. The famous story of The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe was inspired by the Mourne area. Author C.S. Lewis spent a large amount of his childhood adventuring around the Mournes and nearby areas. It is said that when the light hit the mountain faces just right, he would imagine fairy tale-like creatures coming to life. And it's easy to see how ideas like the world of Narnia could be sparked from this. A Narnia trail has even been built for kids in nearby Kilbrony Park, to allow them to spark a similar imagination to the one used for Narnia. While being on the topic for inspiration for fictional worlds, if you had seen my previous video surrounding Randalstown Forest, you'd know that Northern Ireland has started to make a bit of a name for itself in terms of film sets, even in places as out of the way as Randalstown. So it probably won't come as a surprise to learn that the likes of Game of Thrones has also stretched its influence to the Mourne area. Places like Tollymore Forest was a bustling film set during Game of Thrones, and with the recent Night of the Seven Kingdoms, it still is. It probably even deserves its own separate video. Let me know in the comments if that sounds interesting. Other big hits such as TV show Vikings, The Northman, or the recent Dungeons and Dragons all had sequences filmed here as well. At this point you might be wondering, where is this 22-mile long wall? And why is it so significant? Well, let me give you a brief introduction and set up to the story. In the late 19th century, Belfast's rapid industrial expansion was a time that required innovation and quick action. The city and the population was expanding at an accelerating rate, and there were not enough resources to go around, specifically water. So a civil engineer by the name Luke Macassey sought out an area to funnel rainwater directly to Belfast with little obstruction in the way. The mountains offered pollution-free soft water with high amounts of annual rainfall, and with the elevation of the mountains, it allowed for water to be delivered to Belfast almost entirely by gravity. It was a perfect solution for Belfast's dilemma, but a problem did arise. There was no option for reservoirs or water purification systems at the time, so the water was able to be tampered with quite easily. So another solution had to be made, and we will come back to that point soon. So, I gave you an introduction to the modern day use of the Mourne Mountains, but it's important to know how they even got there in the first place. So unlike its close neighbour, Slemish, the Mournes are not volcanic in any way. Slemish rose through the cracks in the earth, but the Mournes were formed over millions of years through a process called freeze-thaw weathering. For millions of years, the peaks we know today were hidden away underground, but eventually the softer rock was weathered and forced away during events like the Ice Age, leaving behind the strong granite hills of the Mournes. It originally began with large glaciers pushing through, acting like sandpaper in order to carve dip-in valleys. Then came the freeze-thaw weathering, which acted like a chisel, chipping away at the rock faces and leaving the area covered in jagged edges. A more simplified example of freeze-thaw weathering would be the lovely potholes we come across on our roads day in, day out. When rain or snowmelt seeps through the small cracks in the road surface, it goes down and holds its place until temperatures drop below zero. At this point, the water freezes and begins to expand. This causes displacement and forces the road to lift and form cracks. These cracks eventually get bigger and bigger, removing more and more rock, until we reach some of the craters we see on our roads today. The exact same happened at these mountains, but on a far larger scale. So, back to the issue at hand. Belfast remains at risk due to the vulnerable encatchment area in the mountains. At this point, nothing is stopping cattle, sheep, or even people from contaminating the water supply. And as mentioned before, the filtration systems we have to keep our water safe to drink did not exist in this day and age. So what was the solution? What was the $1 million idea to save Belfast? Build a wall. If someone's causing you trouble, build a wall and keep them out. Where have we heard that one before? So a lot of vacancies opened in the Mourne area, and construction of the wall began. So this wall was built over the course of 20 years, often in brutal weather conditions. I mean, you can see how it took so long, as they'd probably only extend the wall a few feet every day depending on how many men were there. This mammoth task required expert craftsmanship, and the wall was built in a way to be able to stand for hundreds of years. Starting with a solid base and using medium-sized rocks to build up the foundation of the wall, with smaller rocks placed in any cracks to keep things solid. Bear in mind, no mortar or adhesive was used in the process, meaning the placement of each stone was crucial. This would be an impressive enough task under regular circumstances, but remember, this is a windy, high rainfall area, and with some extremely steep slopes to go with it. It's also said that the Mourne Wall was erected as part of a scheme to create jobs due to a shortage in the area. I mean, you can certainly see how a large project like this could keep you busy. But yes, nowadays the Silent Valley Reservoir is what we call the area where all the rainfall is kept. It is what allows the rainfall from the Mournes to turn into the water we drink daily. So if you live in County Down or in and around Belfast, you've probably got some of the Mournes in you. If you've been to the Mournes recently, it's likely you'll have come across some broken sections of wall. Whether it be harsh weather, lightning strikes, or simply human interference, sections of the wall will always be at risk. It is estimated that at its worst, almost a fifth of the entire wall was in disrepair. Thankfully, since 2018, a team of local stonemasons have made it their duty to keep the wall in good shape, many of them actually having relations to the men who worked on the original wall. I personally wouldn't be jumping to volunteer for that. I mean, I struggled taking my camera equipment up the mountain, never mind these massive stone bricks. Whilst on the topic of destruction and disrepair in the Mourne area, quite a shocking and honestly scary event took place the literal next day after my visit. If you've been keeping up with the news at the time, you might have seen that there was actually an ongoing fire in the area for days. Remind me if I'm wrong, but I can't remember ever seeing a fire of this magnitude in our country before. It was practically confirmed that this was again down to deliberate human interference. But unfortunately, no one has been charged for the destruction of this beautiful area. Homes and businesses had to be evacuated, lives were put at risk, parts of nearby forests were even affected, and it's unlikely this area will recover for years. Why anyone would commit such an act is beyond me. We live in a small country, and we should do our best to preserve the limited areas of natural beauty that we have. These places aren't just for our use, there's an entire ecosystem out there, and I think a lot of us ignore that, whether it be purposely or not. Now, this brings me on to a final point to end the video, and that is, why don't we appreciate what's close by? We're all guilty of it, we're always looking for our next holiday somewhere abroad, but there's so much right outside your door. Have you ever looked at a tourist in your own country and thought, why come here? But the real question is, why shouldn't you come here? A lot of us forget that the things we take for granted are things that many people dream to see. It's easy to get caught up in life, it can all be a little draining, but you can try to enjoy every day as it comes, making your own adventures, not waiting around for something good to come, and just taking even a few minutes every day to appreciate the world around you. If more people did that, I think the world will be a very different place. Remember, not everything is so serious. Life can be very fast, and if you don't take some time to breathe and take it all in, you'll miss it.